Okay, first of all, we're going to highlight the time here. This is current time. And the current date is up here. And the arrow underneath the time is pointing to the current period that we're in, which is now reading as civil dusk, which is a twilight, one of the three twilight periods: civil dusk, nautical dusk, and astronomical dusk. And we can also see that it reads civil dusk up here, and here are the times, exact times that civil dusk begins and ends: 5:48 p.m. to 6:12 p.m. So you can see that we're somewhat in the middle of that, 5:54, and you can spin the wheel and look at other times. So now we are looking at nautical dusk a little bit in the future here at 6:25, and you can see the period there is 6:12 to 6:40. And we can go back to the golden hour just before sunset, and you can see that it's 4:55 to 5:48. And you can also step forward to the exact transition times by using the arrows. So you can see that golden hour changes to civil dusk, which is also known as sunset, at 5:48. This is the exact moment the sunset goes down. And we can go forward a little bit to see when the other dusk periods start. And then final darkness, which is the darkest it's going to get, is at 7:08 p.m. And then you can use your thumb to spin the wheel to any part of the day. It's usually easier if you zoom out, which you can do by double-clicking on the Earth, or you can also use the use standard pinch to zoom. If you want to zoom out, you just stretch your thumbs together. And if you want to, sorry, it's the other way around, zoom in, yes, put them together. Let's see, and then you can reset the time to the current time by hitting this reset button at the bottom center. And we're back to where we are. The current time is always indicated by the word now, and you will see the seconds moving as well as the clouds moving. Those are all three indicators that you're looking at the current time. At the top here you have some information about how close it is to the nearest sunset or sunrise, 8 minutes since sunset, and then here are the actual times, just handy information to know, and when the next equinox or solstice or previous closest one was. And we can now change the location by tapping on this red dot here, the pin that is above the location name. And there are several different ways of changing the location. One is to just click in here or tap in there and tap out the name of your city. And we're going to go somewhere very far north. We're going to Svalbard, Norway. And you can see that it moves up there. So this is a much more extreme daylight situation. So you can see here, and again we'll zoom out by double tapping on the Earth, that they have a lot more night than, well, the dusk periods are very long, and there is no full daylight time. Golden hour is as close as it gets to, I mean, I guess that is daylight time, but it, it's still a little bit dim. And then we can go back to the map, or we could actually, what we'll do is we'll look at the same thing in the middle of the summer. So let's go to June, and now you can see that we've got what they call the midnight sun. There is the sun does not set that far north in the middle of June. Now we can reset both again. We can actually choose to reset it to now, see what it looks like now, or we can reset both. So let's go drag the pin, and we'll zoom out to do that. I will move it down to the tip of South America, let's say, and done. And we can see what they're doing. Very long middle of summer in southern Argentina right now. So you can see, and right now the sun is also setting, but it's at the end of a very long day. And go back and reset it again, and we're back home. And now we're going to set an alarm here. I'll delete my old alarm. We'll add a new alarm. Okay, so we'll start with looking at tomorrow, February 15th. And the event we're going to look at is sunset. We want to set an alarm for sunset. We want to actually make it 15 minutes before sunset. So we're going to spin this up to 15 minutes before. And we can see here that sunset is actually at 5:48 tomorrow, and our alarm will go off at 5:33 tomorrow. And what we have here is our current location. Now if we set this alarm and we move, it will stay to our current location. So if we took a plane between now and tomorrow to San Francisco, the alarm would still go off in New Orleans. So one way to fix that would be, if I knew I was in San Francisco, I could obviously move this pin to San Francisco. However, the better way to do that would be to set travel mode on, and that will automatically update your location with inside the alarm setting. So it knows where you are. It will reschedule as you move about the world. The alarms will be rescheduled for you. Now this does involve a little bit of background processing time that you wouldn't otherwise need, because it has to check your location, and therefore you need to enable location services for the app in the background. But I'm not planning on going anywhere anytime soon, so I don't need the extra processing time. So I will go back and I will reset my location to where I am now, which is New Orleans. And then for the sound, I like the descending tone. If you were doing a wake-up alarm, you could have a rooster. And there's some more subtle ones. Time warp, bells. And repeat is handy. Let's say I want to be reminded of this 15 minutes before sunset, just Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, because Tuesdays and Thursdays I have something going on, but I'm free those days. I don't want to exercise on weekends because I'm lazy. But Monday, Wednesday, and Friday I'm generally free, so I want to be reminded. And then I'll just type in bike ride here. And this is unnecessary, but in case you want to remind yourself why you want you're on a ride. And then you have your alarm right here, and it'll tell me when my next one will go off. Now this won't be an alarm like you're usually set on in the standard clock app that comes with your iPhone, but it will come up as a reminder using notification services. You will need to enable notification services for this app. However, it will pester you once a minute until you dismiss it if you turn this persistent alarm on, and it sort of changes it up to be a little bit more useful if you're trying to wake up or it's something you really don't want to miss. The important thing to know is that it won't make a sound, though, if you put your phone on vibrate mode. It will vibrate, but it will not make a sound. So if it's really important, make sure your volume is turned up and vibrate. You have it set to and your vibrate switch is off so that you will hear your alarm. And that's it. And then now you see this icon here indicates that you have the persistent alarm. And then you just hit done, and you can schedule as many alarms as you want. You might want to put one in for different times a day, just as a general reminder. Just if you're just curious that it's the middle of the day, and you may want to have one to wake up. You may want to have one in the middle of the night. Who knows? But I'll actually set one. One thing you can do is you can set an alarm for say starting tomorrow, and you could say you wanted to get 8 hours of sleep and get up with the sunrise. So what you could do would be to set for, and you want to get, you just put in 8 hours, a whole 8 hours before sunrise. So your sunrise is at 6:40, but your alarm is at 10:40 the night before. And I'm going to not make it a persistent alarm because I don't want to be bothered too much. But let's say I just a little alarm like that, and we're just going to repeat every day, except for I want to be able to sleep in on Sundays, so I will turn that off, or I'll stay up late on Saturday nights rather, so 8 hours before Sunday, if that makes any sense. And that's pretty much it. And now I'll just make an alarm reminder, say go to bed and get 8 hours of sleep. And we will now save that alarm. And you can see now this doesn't have the persistent alarm thing, but it's going to repeat Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And the first time it'll go off will be 10 o'clock tonight. So that's very neat. And now we'll just take a quick look at some of the preferences. There's not too many of them. Basically, all these extra periods, civil, nautical, and astronomical, are not, they're optional. They're on by default, but you can turn them on. Now we're just looking at day and night and golden hour. So those are now eaten up by the night there. And if you don't like golden hour, you can turn that off as well. And so now you're just seeing night and day. That's all you care about. If you're a photographer and you care about the golden hour, that's when the light is often very nice. You can set it to whatever you think is useful for you. So you can make it as wide as 14 degrees, which will give you a really wide band there. And you can make it you can go all the way down to 0 really, but probably not too useful to go below 5. But usually people are setting it between anywhere between 8 and 12, and I usually put it around 10, or maybe 10 is kind of a large number really, but it works for me. And then we'll turn all these back on. Now these are if you turn on civil and then go to nautical, you'll get both civil and nautical. If you turn on astronomical, you'll get all 3. So that's what we want. And that's it. And there's just a few help screens you have for you. The glossary will give you a little introduction, definition of each, what periods mean, how they're defined, what the golden hour is, what annual events like equinoxes and solstices are about. And then there's a chart for whatever time you have set and whatever day. It will tell you when everything starts. If you just want to look at everything in one period, you can figure all that out from spinning the wheel around, but if you just want to look at it in a chart, there's the chart for you. And then you also have a easy view for each sunrise, sunset, how long is the day, how long is the night, and the 2 closest events annually, the equinox and solstice. And then we have all the help files, which will explain everything I just explained now and more. And whatever screen you leave this on, we'll come back to it. So if you want to always look at that chart will come right back up. And that's it. That's Soul Sun Clock.